I would like to hopefully suggest that we can move quickly on S-174, which is the bill of Senator Risch and I. Last year it was S-79. It passed the Senate, came within a whisker of passing the House at the very end of the session. I hope we can, we've had a hearing, we've had a markup. I hope we can move that bill out because it addresses this question exactly. There's a weird calmness about this hearing. This is not calm. The Russians are already in the grid, are they not, Mr. Robb? Well, there were news reports from a year ago of the Department of Homeland Security releasing screenshots of Russian hackers in the SCADA system. Is that not true?
Again, I'm not in a position to talk with.
Well, can you comment on a public story that of something released by the Department of Homeland Security?
No.
Okay, let me ask another question. Do any of our utilities have Kaspersky, Huawei, or ZTE equipment in their systems?
We issued a NERC alert.
I didn't ask you if you issued an alert. I'm asking you, do any of our utilities have ZTE, Huawei, or Kaspersky equipment or software in their systems?
Not to my knowledge.
Not to your knowledge. Have you surveyed the utilities to determine that?
I don't believe we have.
I think that would be a good idea, don't you?
I'll take that on.
Thank you. And I want to, of course there should be mandatory standards for gas pipelines. They're part of the electric system. 60% of the energy of the electric industry and supply in New England is natural gas, not to mention heating. And it seems to me we've already passed this, an effective system for the electric utilities. And Mr. Chairman, I'm with you 100%, but I just don't want you to hedge about it. I think you should come right out and say, we got to do this.
I think mandatory standards are one way to do this, but I just would caveat that they're not necessarily the only way. And the point that I was making, that I've been heartened by the significant support I've seen from industry since I raised the subject matter, and I want to continue that productive.
Do they support
dialogue.
mandatory standards?
Right now, again,
Let me guess, they don't.
at this stage, I have to commend them for the steps that they've taken since I raised this issue, and I want to give them the opportunity to work in good faith going forward.
Well, I appreciate working in good faith, but it seems to me we made a realization some years ago that mandatory standards made sense in the electric side, and if the natural gas pipeline system is now essentially a part of the electric system, I see no reason why that should not be the case in that industry.
I think there's no question that Congress continuing to shine a light on this will help move forward on this issue.
Major, do we red team the utilities?
Sir, not at this time. I do not. My teams do not red team utilities and private sector. We are focused on government-only entities.
Mr. Robb, does anybody red team the utilities?
I'm not aware, so.
Don't you think that'd be a good idea? You can't really tell if you're safe until somebody smart comes in and tries to attack you.
I'll take that, sir.
Thank you. I just think we're entirely too calm about this. This is not a threat. This is happening now. We are under attack. This isn't something that may happen next year or 2 years from now, and I'm not revealing anything classified in the sense of quoting news articles and presentations by the Department of Homeland Security. We're in a very dangerous place, and I just think this has to be a very an emergency, an urgent situation, and that's I hope I've conveyed that here this morning. So, Madam Chair, I really commend you and the ranking member for doing this hearing, because I don't think there's many more serious threats facing this country than this one. And I thank all of you. I don't mean to come off as negative. You're all, I love what you're doing at the Department of Energy. You've got the office set up. It's the right structure. But I just think this has to be addressed with a real sense of crisis, because you know, I don't want to go home to Maine and say, well, we knew what was going on, but you know, we had 4 committees here that had jurisdiction, and we really couldn't quite get it done. We've got to get it done. Thank you, Madam Chair.